Hello and welcome to the Cord Cutters News YouTube channel. If you're new around here, well, we have live Q&A sessions every Wednesday with our very own Jess, weekly news wrap-ups every Friday with our very own, well, me, and in between we dive a bit deeper into a specific topic, and that's what we're doing today. And we start today's topic with a bit of a question. Are you ready for some football? If so, great, because that's what we're talking about today. If you're watching this video the day it comes out, well, you're just in time for the kickoff of the 2020 NFL season, when the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs face off against the Houston Texans. But, of course, it's 2020 and we're still in the middle of a massive pandemic, so this season has a few new aspects to consider. To help you football fans out, we've put together a guide on our news website, cordcuttersnews.com, and we're going to talk about that in this video. If you are indeed ready for some football, well, this video is for you. These are 5 things you should know about the 2020 NFL season. Number 1, well, what's the schedule look like? Okay, let's start with the scheduling details, because unlike the NHL, NBA, and Major League Baseball, for example, the National Football League is aiming to play out a full regular season schedule. At least that was the case at the time of recording this. As we'll get into in a moment, plans could certainly change since we're very much continuing to deal with a pandemic. But at the moment, all 32 teams are expected to play 16 games spread out over the course of the next 17 weeks. And as we said at the top, that starts with a Thursday night game featuring Patrick Mahomes and the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Houston Texans. That game is scheduled to start at 8:20 p.m. Eastern, 5:20 Pacific, and you can catch it live on NBC. And here's the list of other games slated for Week 1 of the 2020 NFL season. We'll have a link to our NFL coverage in the video description included down below, and those links will take you over to our news website, cordcuttersnews.com. You'll find info on upcoming games, how to stream those games without cable, and links to your favorite teams so you can customize your streaming schedule accordingly. Are you a Seahawks fan? Well, we've got a page for you. Lifetime Browns fan? We got you covered as well. Have you been a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan since about March 20th, 2020? Don't worry, we got a page for you too. Number 2, COVID-19 concerns. Okay, obviously the NFL isn't oblivious to what's going on in the world right now, especially when it comes to COVID-19. We've seen various sports leagues try out different approaches to resuming live play, and some have been more successful than others so far. For the 2020 season, the NFL is trying to take several precautions to help safeguard its players and all those involved with the production and broadcast of those games. Perhaps the most notable of those changes will be the lack of live crowds, at least initially. As of now, restrictions vary from team to team, but many have opted to play behind closed doors, at least to start the season. Some, like the Seattle Seahawks, have stated at least their first 3 home games will be played without a crowd. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins announced plans to allow a reduced crowd of around 13,000 for its home opener on September 20th. That's roughly 1/5 of their stadium's full capacity. Las Vegas, which, in case you haven't heard, is the new home of the Oakland Raiders, announced they won't have spectators in-house for the entirety of the 2020-21 season. League-wide, the NFL has also designed the schedule to allow for cancellations and possibly a shortened season if conditions call for that. The league has also cut out the international games that were planned for London and Mexico City, with those games being relocated back to the home team's own stadiums. Number 3, what about impacts to broadcasts? Yes, so staffing will also be different for these games as broadcasters have adjusted how many people they'll have on site for each matchup. As with the games themselves, production and broadcast styles will likely evolve over time, but some networks, like Fox, are considering the use of artificial crowd noise to spruce up their broadcasts. Now, if you've caught recent NBA or Major League Baseball games, you might have heard examples of this fake crowd noise already. Some broadcasters are also considering computer-generated crowds, which is something Fox experimented with in baseball games over the summer. Of course, other live sports broadcasts that have returned recently have gone to a variety of lengths to simulate the home team crowd experience. In basketball, you can see fans catching the game and reacting via webcam. Meanwhile, Major League Baseball teams have offered cardboard cutouts for fans to purchase, which are then placed in stands in lieu of actual crowds. And for a league that typically draws such huge hometown crowds and where crowd noise actually affects team play, it'll be interesting to see how NFL teams cope with empty or reduced capacity stadiums. Number 4, any playoff changes? Well, assuming the regular season progresses as planned, and in 2020 it's especially risky to assume anything, but yes, the playoffs would begin the weekend of January 9th and 10th, 2021. Barring any additional changes in the future, the biggest shift for the 2020 season will be the inclusion of 14 teams instead of the usual 12 for the playoffs. Those extra teams come via a third wildcard spot for each of the two conferences. So if you've been rooting for a team that's always coming up just a bit short of the playoffs each year, well, this might be your season. Number 5, how to watch the 2020-21 NFL season. Ah, yes, that's pretty important too, I guess. So regardless of your favorite team, you have a number of options available to you if you want to catch games live. In the past few weeks, we've also seen some streaming services upgrade their lineups just in time for the season to kick off. Case in point, YouTube TV recently added NFL Network to its regular lineup and introduced a sports-focused add-on package that includes NFL Red Zone, among other channels.
Okay, let's start off with a look at some of the biggest live TV streaming services out there and which channels and networks they offer. As you can see, in some cases, NFL Red Zone access is available depending on which tier or add-on you select for your account, so there may be a price premium involved if you want Red Zone added to your lineup. Next up, let's look ahead at the game, shall we? So on your screen right now are the full regular season schedules for the 2020-21 season. And feel free to pause at any point, of course, but in addition to these graphics, you can head over to our site cordcuttersnews.com, where we're covering the NFL season, including team-by-team guides, full schedules, and which streaming services support the various channels and networks carrying the NFL games throughout the year. It's also worth noting that many of those Thursday night games are also available on Amazon Prime Video thanks to a deal with the NFL.
And don't forget, in addition to streaming services, there's a good chance you can catch local broadcasts without cable via an over-the-air antenna. And if you do opt for the over-the-air approach and you're interested in an OTA DVR to record those games, well, hey, it just so happens we made a video about OTA DVRs earlier this year, and here's a link if you're interested. So there you go. Those are 5 things you should know about the 2020-21 NFL season. And of course, as with most things happening this year, a whole bunch of this is subject to change. Even with the backups and allowances the league has put into place, it wouldn't be too surprising if certain aspects of the upcoming season change and the league has to adapt. And if things do end up changing, well, that's where we come in. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for all the latest cord cutting and streaming news, including the NFL. Feel free to click the like and subscribe buttons as well. If you've ever wondered what that bell icon does, well, it allows you to set up notifications so you'll be alerted whenever we upload new content to the channel. And of course, don't forget we also have a news website as well, cordcuttersnews.com, where you can stay up to date 24/7. For now though, I just wanted to say good luck to all the teams out there, including coaches, trainers, and staff, as well as the broadcasting and stadium crews. Stay safe and healthy out there and have a great season. My name is Philip Palermo. Thanks for watching. Take care.